Banks are getting compensated billions of dollars in fees from the Fed's Emergency Small Business Loan Program. Some community banks are earning more from the PPP loan program than their entire net revenue from last year.
Banks are expected to earn billions of dollars in fees from the U.S. government's Paycheck Protection Program. Thousands of lenders offer emergency funds to small businesses to help them get through the pandemic. Chase, Bank of America, Truist, PNC, and Wells Fargo were the top 5 lenders. They gave out $91 billion in loans. They are expected to earn about a 3% fee, or nearly $3 billion. For dozens of local and community banks, the fees generated from the emergency loans could surpass their 2019 net revenue. Cross River Bank in New Jersey lent out $5 billion in PPP loans. They're estimated to earn $163 million in fees. That's nearly double what they earned last year. The banks are getting paid by the U.S. government. They will not be collecting fees directly from the borrowers. According to the Small Business Administration, lenders have processed almost 5 million loans, supporting over 50 million jobs. Some banks like Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo are planning to donate their fees.
And millions of dollars in PPP loans were handed to large corporations backed by the Chinese Communist Party. The money was part of the federal government's $2 trillion CARES Act aimed at helping small American businesses. In total, companies with links to the Chinese regime have received at least $3.4 million in loans from the PPP program. They include Chinese electric vehicle startups, which later laid off the workers they were supposed to keep, consumer service companies with partnerships with CCP-linked companies, and an advocacy group that hosts the Confucius Institute partnerships. And China's central bank is stepping up its efforts to digitize the Chinese yuan. It's now partnering up with a ride-sharing company to test the use of the digital currency. China's central bank is partnering up with NTD Chuxing to test a new digital currency called Digital Currency Electric Payment, or DCEP. In a statement, NTD says it's working with the People's Bank of China to apply the digital currency on its ride-hailing app. NTD dominates the ride-hailing market in China with a total of over 550 million users. The Chinese central bank has been researching a national digital currency since 2014. This has been one of the first rollouts in the real world. Unlike other cryptocurrencies which are decentralized, the Chinese digital currency will be issued and backed by the Chinese central bank, and it won't provide the same anonymity that other cryptocurrencies do. And up next, one niche business is thriving during the pandemic. Find out why after the break.
The coronavirus outbreak is the latest wake-up call.
U.S. Senator Ben Sasse put it plainly. The Chinese Communist Party has lied, is lying, and will continue to lie about coronavirus to protect the regime.
In 5 to 10 years, we'll have virtually no manufacturing capacity left for generic drugs. And again, this is 90% of our medicines.
And the world should know, if Hong Kong falls, the whole world falls, okay? Because the Chinese Communist Party is the existential risk of humanity, period.
Since the CCP took power, 80 million people have died from its policies and political campaigns.
They're using our institutions and our norms and our values against us. in ways that we hadn't necessarily envisioned towards their own authoritarian agenda.
From the party's great firewall in cyberspace, or to that great wall of sand in the South China Sea.
More repression, more unfair competition, more predatory economic practices, indeed a more aggressive military posture as well.
If we do not meet this threat now, it's going to define our century.
COVID-19 has upended the U.S. economy and businesses everywhere are struggling to survive. But there are some winners too. For example, this one niche business is thriving.
The CCP virus can be contracted from surfaces such as tables, counters, and other common areas. Goodway Technologies Corp. In Connecticut manufactures a sanitizing agent delivery system called BioSpray that is normally used in large industrial spaces. Now the pandemic has increased demand for the cleaning product and grown the company's client base.
So now the pendulum has swung, and the BioSpray system is being utilized in all sorts of non-traditional areas that we've sold into. So restaurants, doctor and dentist offices, retail stores, are all among the typical customers that we now are getting calls from.
Kane initially had problems sourcing the parts he needed to make his product when the pandemic struck in March. The company struggled to meet the growing demand. But in a matter of 4 weeks, Goodway was able to catch up, and business has been thriving ever since.
And just to give you an idea from a numbers perspective what that looked like, it was about 40 to 50 times this same month last year.
The rise of this industry is one example of a sector that's booming during a pandemic that has crippled so many parts of the economy. These products have become commonplace, creating a lasting impression on the American public. One enduring image of this crisis may be the foggers and spraying machines that are now being set loose on subways, airports, and sports arenas.
That's the latest updates for now. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Paul Graney. We'll see you tomorrow.